Hey, what's up YouTube? Welcome to a new video. Today we're going to be retouching this image of sunshine that I shot a while back. I have a few images. I'll put them a link to these images in the description below to like one or two, so you guys can definitely check it out and retouch with me. Hopefully this is going to help somebody out there to retouch their images better. I'm not going to be doing this too often, but I'll try to do it, when I can, so you guys can also practice. But it's best you practice with your image. Anytime you're trying to do something like this, it's best you shoot your images and practice with them. That's just the best way to go about getting better. It's not advisable to always practice with somebody else's images. But yeah, that's about that though. So let's get into this video. So the first thing I'll do when it comes to an image like this is just pick the image you want to retouch. So I think I'll go with this one because it's more close up and it shows more skin. So the first thing I'll do is come down here and work on, I think I like my Kelvin and my white balance. So I like the way it looks. So I'm going to leave it that way. If not, I would adjust it normally. Then I'm going to come down, or I'll go to my levels here, pull in my whites, pull in my blacks, I mean. Then I'll pull in my whites. Okay. I'll make sure I toggle this triangle here with the exclamation mark to see where it's getting blown out. As you guys can see, her nose is getting blown out. So just stop somewhere around here. And I'll pull these blacks back a bit. So okay, I like the way it looks right now. I think it looks okay. I think I did something in this other one, probably reduced the saturation, but I'm just going to check with this. I think I did. Yes, I did. Yeah, so for this image right here, I'm going to reduce saturation to -9. As usual, Canon cameras tend to come with a lot of reds in them, so I think I just prefer it this way. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is take this image, open with Adobe Photoshop. Now, normally I would match the skin tones and all that stuff, but her skin tones look pretty good here and they're pretty even. The makeup artist did a great job. Foundation color was like on point, so I'm not going to do any of that. I'm just going to take this image and edit it with Photoshop. I'm just going to wait for it to come up on Photoshop, come up in Photoshop, I mean. And yes, that's it. This is about it. And now we're going to start retouching. So the first thing I'll do is create my frequency separation layers, and that's Command J twice to duplicate the layer. I'm going to name this low and this high. So my low layers will be where my skin tones and colors will be, and my high layer will be where my textures are. So for my low layer, I'll come to filter, blur, and Gaussian blur. Now that I'm in Gaussian blur, I'm going to pick a radius that works for me. Something that would hide almost all the details, basically. So the higher your the radius of your blur, the more details that you retain. So you just look for where you'd stop seeing any detail in your images. And 16 looks pretty good for this image. I think that's what I used for like almost all the images when I was retouching these particular pictures. So I'm going to click OK right here. And I'll come to my high layer. I'll toggle that back on. Go to image, apply image, change my layer here from merge to low, my blend mode from from multiply to subtract, scale to offset 128. You're going to see sort of like gray, what do you call this, layer right here. Then I'll click OK. Once I've done this, I'll come here and change it to linear light, and our image is back to what it was. So before, after, you cannot see any difference. Image is just what it was. We've just split things into two frequencies. We've kept our skin tones in one layer and our textures in our high layer. Now, what I like to do right now is duplicate my low layer and merge it and clip it down to this layer. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is so if I make any mistake, probably on my low layer, I would not have to probably delete the whole frequency separation and start again, from the beginning. I'll probably just delete my low layer, I'll make adjustments to that, and work on another low layer again, instead of having to just delete everything I've done. Maybe I've worked on my low and my high layer, and I probably found out that I made a mistake on my low layer. I would not have to delete my whole frequency separation. I'll just work on my low layer again. Now the high layer is kind of tricky. Once you duplicate that, you're going to have this image that is too sharp. So what you're going to do is still clip your image, but once you clip it, it's going to even get sharper. Then you change it from linear light to normal, and your image is normal again. So the whole idea is that I'm going to work on my high copy and my low copy, and that way, if I make any mistakes anywhere out, it would just be easy to delete that particular layer, maybe the high copy or the low copy, and just work from there. So now after doing this, I'll come to my mixer brush, make sure my go-to settings always my go-to settings. Like as a photographer, you spend so much time retouching that you just want a system that I'm sorry, you just want a system that works for you, and something you would just get on your PC and do, so you would not have to spend your whole life retouching. So this works for me. I'm just going to start blending in the skin tones and low layer. I'll make sure I'm doing it the right way. I'm not pulling from my highlights into my shadows. I'm going to work on my highlights, then I'll work on my shadows. Just very subtle strokes. Now what I'm trying to do, and what I've explained in my previous videos, is that all I'm trying to do here is make sure that I'm blending the transition between highlights and shadows, so it's not too sharp. You just don't see like a sharp line between your highlights and your shadows. You just see these transitions that just ease into each other. If you do it too much, then you will change the shape of her face, and you're not trying to do that. And when it comes to images like this, the less you do, the better it is. You really do not have to spend too much time retouching an image like this, because it's already good. Her skin tones are already really nice. You don't want to spend too much time making her look like some doll or something. So you just want to spend as little time as possible on an image like this. And as you guys can see, I'm not actually zooming in to work on this image, because I really don't have to right now at this point. When I'm blending, I want to see the image exactly the way I'll be looking at it from like my cell phone or from like my website. I want to see the entire image. I want to see how it looks while I'm retouching it. Now, always put in mind that you probably flatten your image just a little bit, probably not the way you'd want. It might not be the exact way you want it. Like I can see I made a mistake somewhere around here, which is not really cool. So I'm just going to bring my shadows back into that. Okay, looks better now. That fixed that. Okay, okay, looks okay. Like I said, you don't want to spend too much time on this. You don't want to make your subject look too flat. You just want to take your time with a process like this. So now I'm going to pick my clone stamp tool right here. Opacity is at 100, flow is at 100, then I'll sample current layer. So I'm going to be working on my high copy. Reduce my brush size to match the surface area of where I'll be working on. And I'm just going to take that out. Now, a few people say they have the issue of trying to use their clone stamp tool, but it does not work. I think that has to do with the amount of blur that you've put into your low layer. Now, the low layer, if the blur is actually like not enough, what would happen is that your frequency separation basically will still see a lot of things as just skin tones, not textures. So when you use your clone stamp tool on your texture layer, you probably still have some of those little tones that are left behind and you have to probably use a mixer brush to clean it out. But I think I learned this from one of my subscribers. You need to use a high enough radius for your blur so you can get your textures separated well enough from your skin tones. I hope I'm talking slow enough today, because a lot of people are like, "Oh, you talk too fast and you have an accent." Yes, I'm African. I know I have an accent. But yeah, though, I'm trying to, as usual, I'm not trying to spend too much time here on YouTube and bore you guys out. So now all I'm doing is using alternate to sample and clean over. So when I sample, I'll click somewhere close to where I want to remove the probably pimple or whatever it is that's on the face that I don't like. I'm just going to click somewhere close to that and take it out. Click somewhere and take it out. Now, always work with models that have, good skin, probably like the color is good. And, yes, like I don't think there's anybody that has perfect skin and all that. We have people that are constantly searching for, that want to have perfect skin. But I think we should all embrace our imperfection, and that's one thing I've come to learn from being a beauty photographer. We need to learn to appreciate our imperfection. So yeah, there's nobody that's perfect, but get a model with good skin and somebody that you would not have to spend too much time trying to retouch their pictures. Good for you. So yeah, while you're at this, take your time. Take your time. Do not be in a hurry, especially if you're just starting and you're just learning this. You really don't want to spend too little time trying to get everything to look good. Now, if you guys can see what I'm doing, I'm actually sampling from the textures and painting into all these areas so that it doesn't look weird. So I'm not just removing textures now, I'm also painting textures in so everything looks pretty even. It's not always about taking out, sometimes you probably have to add just to make everything look really nice. Make everything look nice and even. Because she has like a lot of textures around this part of her face, which is not bad. I like it, makes the image makes the image look original, not fake. That's one thing you have to put at the back of your mind. We're all working and we're all growing though. We'll get there someday where we can take and retouch the perfect image. So now I'm going to come down to her neck. Do not forget that, if you have to remove imperfections from her face, then don't forget to take them off her neck too. This is just like a strand of hair that fell down, so I'm going to clean this out. I hope we've not spent up to 20 minutes already. Hopefully not. She has a little mark there. I'm going to leave that, same way I'm going to leave her her birth mark here. Don't take things like that out, like her birth mark here too. Try not to take those things out. Very important you leave them. I don't know what this is, but it doesn't look good. Definitely not a birth mark. It's very important you leave things like that. So let's see where we're at now. This is where we started from, and this is where we're at now. Okay, I like where we've gotten to, taking out most of the imperfections. And it looks good at this point. Okay, great. So we're looking good, we haven't done too much. We're looking good at this point. Image still looks good. She does not look fake. That's something that you guys have to always put at the back of your mind. I've not moved so much from the highlights to the shadows or from the shadows to the highlights. Her face still looks the same. If you see her anywhere, you recognize her and know, yeah, this is the white melanin. You guys should definitely follow her on Instagram. She's a great model, and she has a great personality too. So now after this, I'm going to do dodge and burn. So judge. After this, I'm going to do dodge and burn, and how I'll do that is by coming down here to my you can also do that here. Come to layer, then adjustment layer, and you create the curves adjustment layer. Or you come down here to your adjustment layer buttons, and I'll create the curves adjustment layer. That's it right there. And I'll create two. So this I'm going to name dodge. And this I'm going to name burn. Now, I'm not using actions today because I want you guys to know that actions will not make your pictures better. It just makes retouching faster. So for the dodge, I'll come down and change to, what is it? Screen. Yes. Then I will invert my layer mask by clicking Command and I, Control I on PC. So that's my dodge layer. And for my burn layer, I'll change my blend mode to multiply, make it darker, and I'll invert my layer mask, Command I, Control I on PC. Then I'll put both in a group, Command G to put two of them in a group. Then I'll name this dodge and burn. Oh, jeez, did I just put Z before that? Dodge and burn. So that's about it. That's my dodge and burn layer. You really do not need actions. You can create an action yourself. There are a lot of videos online that will show you how to create your own actions. And this is just what I did. This is how I created my dodge and burn action. And even my, this is how frequency separation actions are created too. So now that I've done this, I'm going to come to my brush, pick a brush. I'll make sure that my flow is set to, I think I'm, okay, let me use 3 for this one. I'll make sure it's a soft brush, hardness is set to 0. And now I'm going to dodge my image. Do not forget, you dodge your highlights and you burn your shadows. So now, another way you can actually know what you're doing and where to dodge and burn is by creating a black and white adjustment layer. Pull down your reds, pull down your yellows too. And now we have a good example of where we should dodge and burn this way. Then what I do after creating this is that I uncheck my frequency separation. Let me just name this frequency separation FS for the sake of this video. So I would uncheck my frequency separation and I can see exactly where I would like to dodge and burn here. So I'm going to start with dodging. So now I'm going to dodge all these places. And I'll dodge her nose, just bring that line up a little bit. Then this part of her head. Then here too, I'm going to dodge all these parts. Don't forget, when you're dodging your brush, your foreground color should be on white because you're painting white. White reveals on a layer mask while black hides. So I'm going to dodge all these places like this. You can see she has some little highlights here, so I'm going to dodge that. That will just, show the real shape of her face. Then I can see there's a line here. Can you guys see? There's a highlight here, so I'm going to dodge that too. Since I'm using pen pressure with my Wacom tablet, every time I press down, it would apply like more paint on the canvas. So it's going to apply more white on my layer mask instead of having to stroke so many times. So now I'm going to work on her shoulders right here. Anywhere I can see that there's a highlight, I'm just going to work there. Now I'm not saying after this you shouldn't check. So now that I've done this, I'm going to take out my black and white layer and I'm going to see what I've done. Looks okay. And now I'm going to turn back on like my frequency separation layer. And yes, the dodge and burn looks good. Just add a little more for the sake of it. Now, as you guys can see, it's very subtle. I'm not trying to do too much. I can just add just a little bit around there. I'm not trying to do too much. Okay, so now I'm going to zoom in and work on some specific places, like this part of her lip right here. I'm going to just make that more pronounced. Then here too. Her eyes. I'm just going to brighten that up a bit. I can see this strand of hair inside her eye. I'm going to take that out. Probably going to take so much time to take that out, but yeah, I'll definitely take that out. Okay, so that's the dodge and burn. As you guys can see, pretty subtle. For the burn, you really do not need your black and white layer. You already know everywhere that you're supposed to burn, your shadows. So I'll come back here, click my layer mask. Then I'm just going to burn these places. Now I always still turn off my frequency separation layer so I can see exactly what I'm doing. Now, the reason why I do that is sometimes frequency separation will flatten your image, and I want the dodge and burn to actually follow the same pattern of her face. You know, I'm not trying to create new patterns. I'm not trying to change the shape of her face. I want it to follow the exact structure of her face. So I'm going to turn this off, and I'll dodge and burn to the exact structure of her face. Now I'm just burning. Still burning. Don't worry, I'm still here. Okay, so now I'm going to turn this off, and you can see it looks good to me though. Okay, looks okay. I can do with a little reduction, and that's the good thing about something like this, you know, using layer mask and adjustment layers. If I want to take something out, maybe I just don't like the way it looks down here, I want to reduce it a little bit, all I have to do is pick a black brush, increase my flow, and I'll just paint somewhere around here with the black brush, and yeah, it's done the job I wanted to do for me. Then for the white, I don't like something around here, so I'm just going to paint. And yes, doing a pretty good job for me. So yes, at this point I like what I am seeing. Looks good to me. Just going to reduce some around here a little bit more. I want it to be more even, so let's see what this looks like. Okay, so now this looks good to me. I have gone through my process of dodging and burning. What I would like to do now is just come in here and take this out of her eyes. Let's see if I'll be able to do that with the clone stamp tool in here. But I feel like, okay, doing a decent job. Doing a pretty decent job taking this out. Now, my only problem with it is that, okay, okay, I don't have that in there anymore. Okay, I don't have that in there anymore. And this is what this looks like. So let's check both. Let's take both out. This is where we started from, and this is where we're at now. As you guys can see, it's not too much. It's just very subtle, but at the same time, it's very, very effective. Now, if you've made it like maybe you've blended her skin tones in too much, or you can always reduce the opacity of your low layer. In case you don't want it to be too much, you can always reduce the opacity of your low layer to 100%, or come down to 50 or 80, whichever one works for you. You know, you can always just reduce it. But I don't think I did. I was too extra here. I think it's just right there at some point. So now that we're done with the dodge and burn and the frequency separation, the next thing I'll do is work on the colors of her skin. And how I'm going to do that for this is I'll reduce my reds, because like I said, Canon has a lot of reds and she has red undertones. So I'm just going to reduce my reds. So I'll come to, so what I did was I created a hue saturation adjustment layer. Let me delete that. Let me delete that. Why does this keep doing like this? Sorry, I just want to take this out. Okay, so I created a hue saturation adjustment layer right there. Now I'm going to come to my reds and I'll reduce my saturation. Okay, somewhere around here works. Okay, then I'll come to my master and I'll just reduce the general saturation of the image just a little bit. Also, I want to reduce the yellows in this image, so I'm going to dial that down Quite a lot. Yeah, till she looks, yeah, no, she looks a little bit pale, but you guys can see the difference. It's way better this way. So now I just want to put some colors into her skin. So I'm going to come to my color balance, shadows, and I'll increase my yellows by +5. So basically I'm just putting some blues in her skin while I'm dragging this up and the shadows. Then I'm just going to add some greens too, just to balance that out. Okay, that works. So you guys can see the before and after of this. So here's the before and here's the after. It's before, after. It's very subtle, but you know, I just added some rich skin tones to her. Then I'm going to go to the highlights and I'll put some yellows in the highlights. It's almost like split toning, but just a little bit different, you know. Then I'll add some magenta to her skin. Just, you know, some tiny adjustments that bring some more richness into her skin. Then from here, I'm going to go to my levels. Then I'll pull my blacks up. Sometimes when you work on your levels, it's advisable to hold alternate so you know if your blacks or your whites are peaking. So right here, it's fine. Then my whites, can see her nose is peaking, so I'm just going to pull in my whites a little bit, somewhere around here. And yes, so this works for me. We'll put all this in a group. Command G to put in a group and just call it skin color. So let's see the before and after. Before, after. You guys can see how far we've gone. This is the before and this is the after, from like her skin tones being so red to what it is now. It's looking very natural. And yeah, after this, we're going to sharpen this image. So Command, Option, Shift, E to make a merge visible layer. So that would be Control, Alternate, Shift, and E on a PC to create the merge visible layer. Then I'll come to Image, Adjustment. Um, can't remember. Brightness and contrast. Sorry, I have an action that does this for me. Now I'll take my contrast all the way to 0. I'll click OK. Then Filter, come to Other, High Pass. My radius at 1.5 is what I typically use. Click OK. Then I'll change to Vivid Light. You guys can see the sharpening is not that, you know, crazy. If you look at the hair around here, you can see how sharp the hair has gotten, just somewhere around here. So let me just show you guys. Look at the hair here. See how sharp it's gotten. Look at her eyes. See how sharp it's gotten. Now the thing is, if you change this to linear light is a lot more aggressive. Can you see? And you can always reduce the opacity. But I tend to use vivid light. You know, it's not too aggressive. It's just nice and very subtle. Then I'm probably going to reduce my opacity to about 60%. Let's see, before and after. Just very subtle, it's not too much. And now that I'm done with all this, let's put everything in a group so we can see our before and after. So I'm going to zoom into this image. So this is our before and this is our after. As you guys can see, we're not doing too much before, after, before, after. You know, you can take your time with this image and take your time to retouch it. I didn't take out too much. I wanted the image to still look original, but at the same time, I wanted it to look great. So this is our before and our after. So I'm going to merge everything together now. Command E, Control E on PC and save. Now, when I open my files, I open it as a PSD file. And when I'm saving, it's going to save as a PSD file and it will save back in the same location. So Capture One can read it and see it. And now that it's saved up, saving. Okay, it's done saving. So I'm going to go to Capture One. And let's see our before and after. So this is our before and this is our after. Before and after. It's not a huge change, but it makes a huge difference when you can just take a few minutes out or a few extra minutes to work on your image and make your image look better. Like you guys can see, I didn't do too much, but little I did has taken this picture from, you know, being a really, really good image to being a really, 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 really good image. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I have more great content coming for you guys. I hope I have helped somebody out there to, you know, do to edit or retouch better pictures, and that's the goal. So we're trying to get this channel to 50,000 subscribers, and so while I help you guys get better at what you guys are doing, help promote the channel, you know, big shout out to everybody on Instagram that's giving me a shout out. I really, really appreciate you guys. Every day somebody's putting me on their Insta story or, you know, giving me a shout out on Instagram. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all that. And I hope you guys keep doing it. I hope you guys keep loving my channel. I'll keep bringing you guys content. Thank you so much. Subscribe. Do not forget to hit the bell icon so you can know when I put up a new tutorial. Comment below. Let me know if you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think I did wrong and what I could do better. Also, let me know if this technique works for you. And yeah, that's about it. So thank you so much. I'm also learning on YouTube while I'm here trying to teach you guys. So yes, there's nobody that's an island, you know. I am also learning while I'm doing this. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great, great, great week. Peace.